Good morning, party people. I want to get started out by saying my buddy Julian needs 110 more subscribers. Hate to mention this every day. I've forgotten a couple of days, but I'm back. So if you guys could look in the description area below, click on that link to Julian's YouTube page, and I need 110 people to subscribe to that. Help me out, help him out. I appreciate it. Wanted to mention the fact that, man, we all know we have old cars, and the dealer is not really trying to help us with the continuation of several parts. So you're finding yourself trying to buy parts from the dealer and they don't have them. Now, there are other companies that are making parts for our cars. Their maybe substandard part is better than no part, or a junkyard part, or the busted part that is on your car. So I said all that to say this: why would you badmouth the only part that you can find for your car? Now, if you buy the part, it's probably not the same price as the Volvo part. Let's say, for instance, the Volvo part's $80 and their part's $35 or $60, and it only lasts half as long. Well, that lasting half as long is much better than it not lasting at all. I mean, the part that you got is worn out, busted, and no good. If a company is making parts for your car that will help you prolong the life and use of the car, even if it may not be the same quality as the OEM part, well, guess what? You can't get the OEM part. You got to go used or their new part, regardless of the quality of it. So, stop bad-mouthing companies that are making parts for our cars. Another thing is, I want to encourage you guys to not buy parts from different box places. You got companies like IPD, Swedish Car Parts, FCP, and a couple other parts distributors that are going the extra mile to try to make sure we have parts to fix our cars. The people at Rock Auto don't care if Volvos are on the road anymore. They just trying to sell parts, a lot of times junk parts. Don't buy your parts for your enthusiast car from these box places that don't care about your brand. Because once they run out of those parts, once they sell them all off, they're not trying to figure out how to make sure they make some more for you. But companies like IPD, Swedish Car Parts, FCP, they're trying to keep our cars on the road. So, if you can't get it from the dealer, you can't get it from one of our enthusiast parts places, then go ahead and have something manufactured or get it from these other places. But man, don't badmouth these places that are making parts for you, and that's the only place you can get the part from. Makes no sense. I don't understand it. Knock it off. Other than that, don't forget, if you're on Patreon, Patreon has a little more footage on this video in particular, and got a lot going on today, so appreciate you guys watching. Before I forget, Steve, the guy that has the place out on the ocean, he actually has that house listed for rental. So if you're interested in staying in that place for a few days or however long you want, you can afford to, check out the information here. Go to that website and you can actually reserve some time at that place out there on the ocean. That's kind of a generous thing him and his family decided to do, is to share that with the public. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I got Steve's wagon done and started to work on a S60R engine swap. Welcome to Hanging Out with Robert, that's me. This video contains things that I encounter throughout the day. If for some reason I complete a task and you would like to see the details, you can click on the link in the description area below. This video also contains tips and tricks that I learned throughout the years. I plan on leaving this video accessible for about 30 days. After that, you can view it through my Patreon account. Thank you very much for watching. Going to kick off the morning, figure out what I did with that steering. Steering's jammed up. I talked to my mechanic from Kissimmee. He said that when I let that rack hang, it pulled the telescope out of the steering column. When I raised it back up, it didn't go back up in there. It might have bent it, so let me start with that and go from there. Gotta remove this lower panel stuff. Come down here and I look back up there and this steering rod is jammed up, so I got this bolt loose. I'm gonna see if I can get this to move around. If not, I'm gonna have to take the outside lid. Well, isn't that something? Bent the rod going back up in there. So let me go get the one off the parts car. There you have it, folks. If you don't disconnect the steering rack, be careful you don't bend this when you go back up with it. Had to get the one out of the parts car. I got the ground wire on the trans. I got the starter in. Oh, need to put the wires on the back. I got some little bits around on it. I got vacuum lines clipped into place, ground wires screwed back into place, O2 sensor wire back on the back of the subframe. Now I'm getting ready to put 3.5 quarts of transmission oil in this transmission. Got the little dipstick out, goes down there. I got a contraption here from Steve to do it. Then I'm going to start putting the turbo tubes back in and drop the fan in, and hopefully this thing will be ready to rock and roll. Intake tube on there. Everything's going together well. I put this transmission linkage back on as well. Not sure what's going on here. Okay, nothing. Just need to put that up there and screw that on. So let me keep rolling, rocking and rolling, people. Last night had a heck of a time getting this engine back in, probably because that steering shaft was jammed up, and man, that was a mess. So don't do what I did. Make sure you protect that steering shaft some kind of way. So let me get this fluid in now. It'd be best if you measured the fluid that you drained out. I don't think we lost any in the process of installing it through the torque converter like we did that last car, but everything here should be good to go. So let me drop the fluid in. This is what we're going in with, people. This is it. Got the fluid contraption here, baby. All the way down into the tube. I don't think we're leaking none either. Not a drop. Transmission service linkage hooked up. Getting ready to put that bolt on that clamp right there to store that. Then I'm going to put the ATM turbo inlet tube on, I believe. Or maybe I'll wait till I get the fan on for that. I had to cut a wire off the fan because it was spliced. Now I need to find a way to hook that back up when I drop that fan in. So I'm going to put the OTE pipe on, plug in some of these other wires I got here, and keep this thing rolling. I got the throttle body pipe on, and most of these wires and everything connected, the air box in, the intake pipe on. I need to put the OTE pipe on, connect that wire over there, put the wheels on, torque these axle nuts. Then this car will be ready to come down and fly. Oh, I need to get this crossbar on. Found Steve's electrical stuff, didn't have to look far. Put I think it's called a butt plug on it. Got the OTE pipe on. Got the engine support bar on. Torque mount, whatever you want to call it. Now the only thing I need to do is put the wheels on. Fire it up, make sure I don't have no leaks. And get this thing on the ground. Steve came back with the hydraulic line for the transmission clips and seals. Put those on. This car should be ready to roll. Hook up the battery and you should better fire it up and get out of here. Oh, let me plug this in. Cause no codes. Alright. Should be it. Here with Brian. He has a 2.4T. Man, I'm telling y'all, you can look down there and see it. If you look down there real close, look at there. B5244T, baby! He's got it going on. And he's going to put this in his S60R so he can have the ultimate R. And we are going to reseal this engine. We're taking off every seal. Going to put brand new seals on it. So this thing doesn't leak. We don't want no leaks when this thing fires up. And new belts, water pump. It's going to be a service engine. Now, we're not messing with the internals, the crank, and stuff like that. But we're probably going to pop this oil pan off because he has an oil level sensor in his 04 S60R. So we're going to chug right along. We got the covers off, as you see, coils out, heat shield off, intake stuff off. We already in the process of doing these rear cam seals. Then we're going to do the front cam seals and keep rolling. Get this thing ready to drop in that S60R. In this video, I'm going to be unboxing a Charge 4 by JBL Harman. I don't know if that's Harman Kardon. Maybe. It's a Bluetooth speaker, 20-hour runtime. And this is something I think people want to travel with, these portable Bluetooth speakers. A lot better than carrying a big stereo with you. You could Bluetooth your sound to it. Sounds awesome. So let's go ahead and unbox this. I want to say one thing. I'm going to start a travel series. Things that you want to take with you when you travel. Extended period of time. You know, stuff longer than 3 days. Now, I didn't know this, but I was searching for Charge 3s on eBay and Facebook Marketplace, places like that, because those things new were like $120. Now this Charge 4 is a lot bigger. I would assume it has bigger sound. We're going to find out. And those things were like 120 new. I expected to pay hopefully 60 used because they're getting old. Batteries are dying, speakers are damaged, things like that. But man, those things were still $80, almost $90 shipped. I found this on Verizon's website. Normally $179. It was $80 off. That made this Charge 4, which is the bigger and better speaker, waterproof and everything, less than $100 and compatible to use items. I didn't know they had those kind of discounts. It's not any special holiday or nothing. They just have some items. I guess it's a clearance item. Super deal. So let's go ahead and open it up, see what it takes to get this thing going. Here you see this little tab that lets you know where to open it. You break this tape here and here, and I bet this will flop right open. Let me break the tape. Broke that tape. Ah. Ooh. Nice. Look at that thing. Man. If I was fishing and I caught a bass this big and heavy, I'd be taking pictures of that thing, man. Look at that. Nice little foam thing for carrying it around, keeping it protected. JBL Charge 4. Now, if you have more of these things, they have a synchronization option there that allows you to sync multiple speakers together. So you could buy a few of these that run on the same frequency and have them linked to each other all over the house. Have your sound piped all through the house. So let's see if it came with any charger or anything like that. See what else is in here. Has this little compartment here. And looks like that opens on the end. Probably got instructions. And hopefully a charger cable. Ooh-ah. Opens both ends for some reason. Ah, here's a charger cable on this end. That's what I really need. Dry pack. Literature. Quick start guide. So, I'm familiar with these. What you normally do, you power them up. You tell your Bluetooth on your phone to find them, and then they normally sync. Now, once upon a time, they used to ship everything with a dead battery. However, in the past couple years, they're shipping everything charged up. So let's see if it's charged up. Ooh, it's already looking for my phone. Let me see if I can get it to sync there. Synced right up. Let's play some sounds. See how it sounds. Man, this thing is loud. It came on kind of loud. Louder than I expected. It actually doesn't seem to produce as much bass as the Charge 3, but let's turn it up a little bit. It's not even half volume yet. Man, I had that thing up, not quite half volume, and it was blaring, so probably more sound than I need. That's the battery level indicator. You see 3 out of 5 is lit every time you touch the volume or something like that. It'll light that back up. So you can use it right out the box. I'll let you know how I feel about it after a few days of use. Man, this thing sounds a lot better with Diane's phone for some reason. Another thing, when it's hooked up on my phone and I adjust the volume on my phone adjusts. However, on her phone, it's independent. So I could turn the speaker down and the volume on her phone stays the same. Then I could turn her phone up and it'll reduce the loudness of the speaker. So I think that's better, maybe for preventing the speaker from being damaged, overdriven volume. Charge 4. This must be where the charging port is. It's got a USB, so I guess you could charge your phone off of it. It's got a headphone jack and a USB-C. USB-C, headphone jack, and a USB. So I bet you could charge your phone off this thing. Nice. Here it is, folks. S60R. With the Gobi interior. I'll be swapping that engine out soon. Here's that 244T engine that's going in there. Getting ready to pull all the seals out, replace all the seals, swap turbo and several other things. Keep it cranking. Going with these cam seals from AutoHaus. Victor Reigns. It used to leak less. I only put Volvo cam seals in my car, but we'll go ahead and put these in. I should compare them to the ones I got from Volvo with the Volvo packaging. But hey, if you're experienced Volvo, man, I'll do what you tell me to do. No questions asked. Actually, I do ask. Try to warn you, but it's your deal, not mine. These are the pickup that goes in the back of the cams. One of them says 351N. The other one says 346EX. I'm assuming EX stands for exhaust. Looks like my phone's refusing to focus, but anyway, they're keyed different. You see, this one's got keys 3, 9, and 7 o'clock there. And this one's got keys 3, 9, and 4 o'clock. Occasionally I get people send me messages asking about the cam locking tool, and they tell me that somehow they installed the cam locking tool backwards. I don't even know how that's possible, because if you move this one over there, it's right side up. If you move that one over here, it's, I don't know how that's possible. Anyway, if you install the cam locking tool, it's even all the way around. It's even. If it's somehow jacked up backwards and then you try to flip it over, it's not even. It's off center. So if you center the things, it'll go on right. If you don't, it'll go wrong. And it's kind of binding trying to go on upside down. I don't get it, people. This stuff is almost idiot proof. Not quite, almost. And these aftermarket ones you get from Amazon and eBay are prone to breakage, so be careful with those. See, I thought this was tight. I still got a 1/16 of an inch or 1/8 of an inch of space in between the bolt and the tool. If I can't get that tight without a lot of effort, I'm going to put a washer on it, and I'm going to flip that one on the exhaust cam proper. I marked the travel in the hubs just for GP. Now this hub here doesn't sound as good as this one does. So you see where the hub is positioned and the adjustments on the slots. But if you listen to this one, almost has zero in and out play, and it sounds good. This one here sounds like it's binding up a little bit, and it has some in and out play. So we'll probably replace this hub, and the adjustment is from that black hash mark to that little one there at the middle of the nut. So got the cam locking tools on there. I'm gonna break these loose, replace those cam seals, replace those hub seals, and put that stuff back together. I'm gonna knock the crank off, replace that crank seal back there, knock the water pump and the idler off. Pulled the seal out of that hub there, and Brian got the replacements from Swedish Car Parts. Looks perfect. Go ahead and put the new seals in. I will say this about those Victor Reigns cam seals, man, I was able to push those in by hand. Like, normally I have to kind of tap them in with a tool. These just push straight in by hand. A little scary. We'll see. So I'm going to go ahead and install this hub. Wipe this off, install this hub. We're going to contemplate what we're going to do about the exhaust. Got the new seal put in that hub. Let's go ahead and bolt this puppy on. I found some fluorescent marker that I used to mark this cam hub. You can see that little bright spot where that seal rides on this hub. So if these hubs get too much in and out play in them, they could walk off of the cam seal and leak pretty bad. I put the big center screw in finger tight, and then I turned the hub around clockwise until I felt it click at its stop. Kept turning it around until my little mark there lined up. So now I'm going to snug it down a little bit more and make sure it's got the right amount of play in it that it had when I took it loose. And it does. It stops at that point. It stops at that point. So I got the right amount of play in it. And then I'll still be able to use the same marks that was used, the timing marks up there somewhere. Put some light on this thing, see if we can see the marks. Heck, the mark's way over here. I don't get that. Wow, I had put a random mark on the back of there by mistake, but I did find the correct mark. I reset everything back up so that I could use the timing mark on the front, the little notch, to set reference timing. Now, I'll say this, you can put those hubs wherever they need to go and then set yourself a new timing mark. That's what some people do. But it's better to use the timing marks that it already had set it up like that so nobody gets confused. So I put it back the way it was. Now I'm going to torque it. Pull the harmonic balancer, getting ready to pull the crank sprocket. And this ridge right here on this crank sprocket, I don't know if you can see it, that's where your timing mark is for the front of your oil pump. So we got to rotate this thing one tooth, pulling the harmonic balancer off. It backed it up a tooth, and we're going to put a puller on this and pull this off nice and even. Got a puller. Brian's got it, man. He's got the tools we need. Look at that thing. Pulling that thing right off of there, baby. That's what you need. I'm going to roll this a little bit, even though it's keyed. Put it back where it's supposed to be on its marks. It's one tooth off before I pull it off. Just so I don't get any illusions about putting it back on. Baby just coming right off. Look at that. Bam. Complete. Now to change the seal. As you can see, there's a flat spot in there amongst all the other teeth. So that's the keyway for it to go on properly. The keyway, if your timing's set right, is about, I guess, 7 o'clock here. Down here. See that? Can't really see it, but all these teeth are cut except right here. It's got a nub between two teeth. About 8 o'clock. Look at that Volvo gasket came off, man. Life is good. Just got to clean that up. Put the new water pump on. Man, that looks like that's scoured. This water pump was coming apart. It's rubbing, it's got scrapes on there. It's rubbing the inside of the engine. That's crazy. Usually they come apart the other way, come out. I can see the scrapes on the fins there. For some reason this water pump was pulling in. Man, it looks like it's touching the housing almost too. Try to get a better view of that scraping inside that water pump area with this other camera. Yep, all scraped up in there. Ready for a new pump. This is why we do make it. Got that water pump on, y'all. Also, there was some oil down in here leaking from probably this cam up here. If I had to guess, this cam might have been leaking. Water pumps replaced, crank seals replaced, doing the timing belt idler. Got some oil buildup there, so it was slinging oil off of a few things. So, but everything's getting replaced, so it's gonna be tight. I drilled into the edge of that rear main seal to put a screw in there and pull it out, and it went on the edge. Then when I screwed the screw in, the screw hit the wall of the block. So we got a little groove in there, maybe a 1/16 of an inch. So I'm gonna fill that with JB Weld and then drive the gasket in, and hopefully that will be enough to prevent a rear main seal leak. Just got to make sure whatever you put in there can withstand the heat, and got to do a good job putting it in smooth or you'll be screwed up. So let's see what happens. Put a little JB Weld in there and went on ahead and drove the seal in in hopes that that seal would create a nice filler with that JB Weld in there. So rear main seal's installed with a little touch of JB Weld. I hate to be the next person that had to tear that out. But we're going to go ahead and pull the exhaust, check out the turbo, pull this intake, and then get that other car in here so we could drop that cradle and start working on getting this stuff swapped over today. I think everything's off this exhaust manifold and turbo. It should be ready to pull away. Pulled the turbo exhaust manifold off together. Crazy thing was the turbo all this time was holding the engine up. So the engine was pivoted back on the turbo. This rear bracket's attached to the transmission, not attached to the engine. So we had to put the engine hoist on there just to hold it up. Took the intake manifold loose, getting ready to lift that off, and getting ready to take a lunch break. So Brian got another turbo in the mail. Wasn't packed as good as it should have been. Busted that tip off. The wastegate actuator got bent, so that's not quite lining up the way it should. We'll do a measurement to see how far off that bracket is still bent. So that's where we're at. Get ready to take a lunch break. Got the new heater hoses on, installed. Got the wire harness, old wire harness, off and away from the car. We are going to cut that intake manifold gasket off because the lower bolt over there hits the thermostat housing. I'm going to make sure that's clear. Spray brake parts cleaner in there. Make sure we move over that bump stop for the transmission. It's laying there on the ground. Maybe I'll just jam it in there. I didn't see it laying there on the ground before. Do 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 do. All right, let's go over here and mess with this turbo. This shaft is all bent up on this one, so we're going to swap this one over to that one. Try to put the same amount of tension on it. Then we don't have that gasket right there, two of those for the coolant or the oil line, so we're going to make our own gasket making kit. Trying to make sure we got this other turbo wastegate arm bent properly. So it looks like we got maybe enough space in there to get a bolt stuck. Could measure that. See how far we get this under there. Comes out a little bit past that to that ridge. Check this one. Make sure we get this thing under there about that far. Make sure it's just clearing that thing right. About 1/4 of an inch. Should be good. Let me get this arm off of here. Never messed with one of these before. So you're going to break this nut loose. Turn this several times to unwind it. And then move it over the other side. I'm going to see how far I'm going to wind it before it starts opening this wastegate. And then I'm going to make that same adjustment over there. I turn this down until this got to where it stopped. Right now I can't move it. I turn it back once. And I can move it. So I turn it. Actually, it has a mark right there. So you could see how many revolutions it takes to get it to where it's tight. Right there it just starts. So I'm going to go 1 full revolution. Now it's tight. Oh, it's looser. Let me go the other way. Barely tight there. Snug. I go a revolution. Now I can't get that thing to move. So I'm going to go 1 more revolution. That's going to be 2 turns on that thing. And that should be tight enough. I'm going to check with one of my turbo guys. I went 2.5 turns. Now I'm going to snug this nut down. That should be good. The nipple is broke off this bypass valve. So we're going to replace that. Number 5 Allen goes in there. Pull that off to replace it with the other one. Off the turbo that's on the car. I think it's a custom one from IPD. Pull the 3 screws out of it. It bounces right up. A lot better getting this stuff off of here with the turbo out. Man, there's something wet in there. Don't look like oil, but let me see what it looks like. And there you have it. You cut the end of the intake manifold gasket off. Cut a notch in the new one, just enough to slide over that bolt, like the manifold slides over the bolt, same position. Pop this gasket off this turbo with a razor blade and whatnot. So we're going to take it over here and trace it on this gasket material and make us a gasket. Just gasket material there. Easy peasy. I got my gasket cut out there. Craziest thing is, now I can't find the template. Wow. Oh, there it is. Whew. Thought I was going crazy there for a minute. There we are, folks. Got our turbo gasket cut out. And that's the template for it there. So we should be good to go. Man, I need to package those, sell them as OEM. What do you guys think? OEM gaskets made by Volvo of Robert. I think that's all the damage I'm going to be able to do for tonight. So tomorrow we'll try to kick this off around 10. Ride this pony down to about 8. And hopefully be ready to slap this engine in. Gotta pull a car in here. We got a 1-post lift. And get this car in here. Drop that package. Swap everything over we need. And put this thing back together. We may pull this oil pan and redo the seals in it. Just for safety purposes. If you feel that this information was useful, please like it and share it with your social media friends. You can subscribe to my channel so that you will get notifications of future videos that I post. You can follow me on Twitter, and if you need to contact me directly, please visit my website. And if you have any questions, leave them below, and someone or myself will reply to them. Again, thank you very much for watching.